My favorite seat.
We say for the community.
My favorite seat. Josh, you'll lead us through.
All righty. Thank you, Mayor. We'll have our customary call to order, Pledge of Allegiance, invocation, announcements from our mayor, and of course the ethics statement. Don't know of any proclamations, awards, or recognitions for this agenda. Citizen comments next, of course, and then we'll roll into communications from staff, which will be the Parks and Recreation Annual Report, the Recreation Commission Annual Report, and then our annual water report. Consent agenda will be 4 items, minutes being first from April 6th, April 10th, April 19th, and April 26th. 5B is a budget amendment for NCLM RMS safety grant. This is a safety grant for some virtual reality technology for training for the police department. 5C is a budget amendment to bring in our 2023 Valentine's Greenway Challenge funding. And then lastly, a special revenue grant fund ordinance for the Governor's Crime Commission grant for the police department. Item 6, citizen comments again. We'll have unfinished business, which will be that discussion of the property that we were offered, or that someone wants to buy. I've got some other maps for y'all for this, kind of showing the floodway. I've also going to have some photos and maybe even a video, if I can get it to work, of what that looks like when it floods in that area. New business, this is an ordinance to amend our stormwater management utility and enterprise fund. This is pretty hefty. What we've got in here is kind of a repeal and replace. We've spoken with Attorney Sneed about it. It just made more sense instead of trying to strike all this stuff through and put new language in. We thought that would be very confusing for everybody. So we've got the old copy and the new copy attached in here. And really the crux of it is we are setting this up in order for us to do the monthly billing for the stormwater stuff, and to be able to do, at some point, we're going to have to send some folks to collections. We are, from the first year, we're $20,000 short. We ended up taking in about $360,000. This year, we are substantially short. I think we've only brought in about $150,000. So we're about at least $180,000 short, if not more.
Due to people electing not to.
That's correct.
Are they waiting? Do they think we're switching to a monthly thing?
We are.
So maybe they're waiting.
Could be, what we'll do when this gets adopted, we'll send out kind of a final notice and give these folks, hey, you've got X amount of days to get this paid, or we're going to have to send this to debt set off and collections.
So there'll be some kind of remediation plan that includes incorporating the monthly.
And then we'll have item B. This is a Field of Honor parade. Some folks from Kiwanis are going to be here to talk to y'all about this. They want to do a closure of State Street, a very brief closure of State Street for September 11th. They're going to have a lot of flags. They're going to place American flags. People are going to purchase these flags and put names on these flags of fallen loved ones that were soldiers, police, fire, Marines, all the Army, Navy, everything. They're going to do 100 of these. These are going to be in the grassed area between Harwoods and the church. They want to have a short parade that goes up State Street for that day. They want to have marching band from the schools here. Our fire and police are going to be involved. We just want to make a big kind of deal out of it. So what council needs to do, if y'all are okay with that, we have to go through DOT to request that closure. And if y'all end up being okay with it, we send this to DOT. They have, I think, 60 days to comment on it, whether or not they will let us. If they do let us, then we can move forward. This is the same thing we've done in the past for the Veterans Parade and the Christmas Parade, because it's state road.
We don't do that every year for those other
No,
purposes.
if you do it once, then you're good every time.
I'm missing that item in the packets.
It should just be, what you're gonna see in the packet would just be a letter.
Maybe I'm missing it.
I don't know that
It goes straight to public hearing
Yes, it
from the
does.
water.
It may be in the wrongs.
I'll track it down.
we'll get it, we'll have
We'll
it,
get
for-
it to
we'll
you.
have it for Monday, send it out to you tomorrow. That's a pretty simple letter.
Thank you.
Sure, thanks for bringing that up. And then we'll have our public hearing, lastly, that will be the voluntary annexation of the property owned by Vince and Libby Snelling. And then the second item would be the rezoning of that property. You know, we talked about this before, we had UR8 and it's going to be SR2. That's how it's been advertised correctly this time. And then communications from staff, Ron and myself, and probably we'll add a closed session to this agenda too, for Monday. And that's your agenda. I think Ron's got something he wants to add.
I'm just gonna pass some stuff out, but, we have some carryover from the bottom project a lifetime ago. That was a project that was the town entered into agreement. Monies came from everywhere. We built, state built roads, we put in water and sewer, our pumping station, then of course the bottom died. And during the discussion, apparently there was some discussion about whether or not the town would annex before they provided water. The property owners, Black Mountain, what are they called? The Bavilia's company that owns that property, they've got another project of mine coming up. They were thinking there was an agreement that we wouldn't annex, wouldn't require them to, has to be annexed to get water. We found no record of that. I'm gonna pass down a letter we received from the lawyers, in Durham. They're just asking to come for town council to ask to discuss that. And we're also gonna send down, a copy of the statute that requires all town agreements and contracts to be in writing. And they're relying on the tail end of that says, an unwritten contract is unenforceable unless it is expressly ratified by the council. I think they expect to show to you that in fact there was an agreement and ask the board to ratify that agreement. I can't speak to whether there was one or wasn't one. I didn't participate in those discussions a lifetime ago. Have caught bits and pieces of it, but they're asking to come on and have that, this council hear them, recommending, they said that the June meeting will be fine. Asked Josh how long the June meeting is going to be if we need to do it separately, but he's hoping it won't be that long. I don't think so. This will be a terribly long discussion, but I'll give it to you. And of course, you can decide to hear them out or not. I want to just get to you tonight. I can go over it again Monday, or you can just make a note, plan on it's the consensus that Josh put this on the June meeting. Allow them to come in and speak to it.
Now, we have to make it, we don't have to make a decision then, we can just simply listen to them.
Yeah, that's correct. You make a decision or not. We decide there was an agreement. We're not gonna ratify something that was an agreement. We can ask for more information, say, yep, there was an agreement. Sounds like we have to stick to it and ratify it. And then there's some other legal issues I've got to do a homework on between now and then that are outstanding that we'll have to cover at that meeting. It sounds simple, but once it popped up, it wasn't so simple anymore. But I wanted the board to be aware of it. If the board has no problem, the shortest thing to do is just move on and put them on to be heard in June if it's the board's interest in doing it.
And we've tried to handle this at a staff level, and we've talked to them. I've talked to them numerous times, and from our standpoint, at least from a staff standpoint, we have a process in place that's in our ordinance that states before you will get water, you will petition to be annexed. That's never happened with this property. So I've not been comfortable saying, sure, go for it.
Which is what happened with the settings.
Not necessarily. The settings came to us, with vested rights that we had to work through. Bottom came to us with no vested rights. And again, they're saying that during those meetings that put together that economic development package, there was an agreement. I don't know that. I think we're all pretty comfortable that there was, if it was ever reached, it was ever put in writing. It's not writing, this town does not have to comply or abide by an unwritten agreement. But they're hoping to show you that in fact the agreement was reached, just didn't get reduced to writing, and ask this board under that statute to ratify that agreement. Whether or not there was one is yet to be shown to you. We just know at the moment, we found nothing in writing that said that agreement was reached.
And those dear folks have, in the meantime, received sewer, water, and a road going in.
There was a lot of development there, and there are other
That
agencies,
development.
there are other agencies in the state pour a lot of money into that.
Just-
And so, there's a lot been put in place for something to happen, but this is just a little piece of it.
Can I ask a question? Ron, is the piece that you're looking into the authority to even create that agreement in the first place, because you'd be violating the town's own ordinances by extending such an agreement in absence of authority in the ordinance to do so?
You know, that's big, what Jessica, the ordinance doesn't say we can make a deal, but in an economic development setting, there's the question of whether or not we even have the authority to ever enter into such an agreement. There's that possibility that there was an agreement, verbal, but it's not only unenforceable because it wasn't writing, but because the town had no authority to make such an agreement. I'll have you my opinion on that probably well before that meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me ask Ron this question here. Just looking at from what Jamie was talking about on paving streets, and that we're gonna have more streets coming in as these developments come in. Are we under any obligation at all to accept a particular development?
You don't have to accept the streets.
I mean, accept the streets?
No, you don't have to, no, but if we do, there's a standard they have to build them to before we will.
But then they become our responsibility
That's right.
from that now on.
That's correct.
Correct.
I just think that it's something that the board needs to look at. That let these developments have their homeowners association, let them take care of their own streets. Why should we do that? That's just an extra burden on the taxpayer.
But it's, there's that offset, I guess it's a weighing that against added streets in the Powell bill too, so.
Which doesn't give us a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we do get some money extra, but it's not much, right?
It's not what it used to be, I think the Powell bill,
It's sort of the same thing we do with these settlement bases and stuff, these developments are gonna put those in. When they talk to me, I'm like, we don't have manpower to, maintenance these things when they come time to maintenance them. So we put that responsibility on the HOA to have somebody come in and maintenance those. So it's pretty much the same thing, just a small.
When I make any motion, but I would hope the board would consider that as a possibility, as a way of not having to do that in the future. As you say, if we bring all these developments in, it won't be 50 years, it's probably 60 years.
And I'm fairly certain, Mayor, that whenever that happens, they typically come before us for y'all to accept them.
You
The
always have the
streets
choice.
anyway, so that would be where you said.
Well, I'm thinking it may be that we may need to come up with a policy before that time. We certainly don't need to do it. I just wanted to ask the question tonight. Anybody else got anything?
I had a quick question, just around that ethics statement at the beginning. I remember back when we added it to the agenda, the idea was that it was going to get read aloud at every meeting. And we haven't done that in some time, and I'm just wondering if the council, does the council still want it to be read aloud
or reverted.
or reverted?
We could read it, I mean, or also too, if you wanted to make sure the public is aware of it, flash it up on the screen.
When we put it on
but it's
there, it
up
was
to
to
y'all.
be read, like we were kind of modeling it after the county commission meetings, they read that up at the beginning of every meeting. But I'm just asking.
I mean, it's up to y'all.
There's been a number of times that people have had to recuse themselves recently, so, I think it's a good idea to just get back into the habit of doing that.
And I'm glad you brought it up because I was gonna mention it also. I think it should probably be read.
Okay.
I'm in favor.
No problem, I'll read it.
Thanks.
Monday.
Thank you.
I have the second question,
Yeah.
another quick one. At the end, I'm just wondering, after the mayor's, what is that at the end? There's mayor's comments and, the town manager's comments.
It's at the end, it's this attorney and me at the end.
So I just wanted,
And then
sometimes I feel like I have to go, wait, I have a comment. And I just wondered if we can make sure the council has a chance to make a comment.
I'll put that in there.
Thank you.
The attorney comments and,
they're on the back page.
There's a secret fourth page.
Yeah.
We try to hide that from you.
No.
Okay. Anything else? If not, meeting adjourned.